Hello everybody and welcome to this revision video. This video is mainly focusing on the people that have influenced Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui. So just some pictures up here. Don't let some of them throw you, but it's good to also like visualize who we're talking about as well. So firstly we have, oh, I hate pronouncing these names. Wim van der Bus. I think that's how you say it. It's probably not. So this is him. We're going to go through each of these in detail in a moment. Next we have Pina Bausch. Next we have Trisha Brown. And then I put this picture up of Bruce Lee. However, one of the influences is pop culture in general, and there are a couple of different people in pop culture who have influenced Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui, but Bruce Lee is just one of them, so I've just popped his picture there. We also have Theresa and then lastly we have William Forsythe. So I'm going to go through each of these in detail. Obviously this is pre-recorded, so go back, go forward, pause at your own pace to make sure you're taking all this information in. Okay, so let's get started. So first one is Wim van der Bus. So Wim is known for his physical material and his use of narrative. For example, the opposition between men and women. So that was one of his storylines. He was also interested in how people react to unfamiliar situations. So really strange way of choreographing, but the way people react becomes kind of choreography for him. And just an overview of his movement style. So his style is described as harsh, emotional, confrontational, violent, and melodramatic. His movement is often grounded and there is key use of gesture, so a lot of use of gesture. So his relationship with Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui and how this kind of crosses over and how he's influenced him. So first of all, they first actually worked together on a piece of choreography, and it's called It, and it was choreographed in 2002. So Wim was the choreographer for it, and Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui was the dancer for it. So they first worked together there. Obviously, Wim is also from Belgium. We know that Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui is from Belgium as well. So growing up, Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui would have seen Wim out there being a professional already, creating work, choreographing it. So that would have been how he first got inspired by him. And since working with him, Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui has drawn inspiration from Wim's physicalized movement material, as well as like physical tension of the movement and that animalistic style. So that is what Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui has kind of picked up on from Wim. Always wise to go and have a view of some of these people's works just to get a better understanding. I've put just some examples down the side there. As you can imagine, with professionals, there are tons of professional works by Wim, but I'm going to hopefully link some of them in the description under this YouTube video. If not, literally typing in Wim van der Bus's choreography on YouTube, I'm sure some will come up for you. So wise to go and view some of the work. Okay, Theresa de Keersmacher. So she works with the use of film, theatre, music and production. So that collaborative interdisciplinary approach of all of the disciplines. Again, we know that's a common feature of Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui. Her work is described as having structural relationships to the music and a tension between the two, sometimes like contradicting each other. In many of de Keersmacher's works, there is a tension between order and disorder, and she conveys this clearly through her use of composition, voice, and text. So a lot of the music is used. So we also know that one of Theresa's famous works, which hopefully you've seen, is Rosa's Dance Roses. It was in the Dance Rebels documentary, so hopefully you knew a bit about that. But Anna is from Belgium as well, so again, growing up, he would have heard of her, but she would have been out there in the professional world choreographing for a long time. And then in 1995, Cherkaoui started her school of parts, which we know later on Cherkaoui went there. So he trained at parts, therefore would have been under the influences of de Keersmaeker's beliefs and training and studies. Cherkaoui was also inspired by her use of gestures and the repetition. And gestures and repetition is a strong feature from Roses Dance Roses. So that's a really good one to go and watch to kind of understand how this all links in. Again, she's got many more pieces than that. I've just given you 3 examples. Go and do your own research. Go and watch some of her works to gain better understanding. Okay, Pina Bausch. So movement style. So her choreography includes a lot of acting, telling of a story, so an overall narrative that comes through. So her movement highlights freedom and the feeling of liberation, but also the feeling kind of opposite of that of struggle and being restrained. So going on to how these guys met, what their relationship was. So Cherkaoui met Pina Bausch, which he thought was incredible, and he actually saw lots of her work live, and liked it because it was so emotional. It was also very lyrical. And at the time, Pina Bausch was one of the first to bring social issues to dance. So I remember reading an article about Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui liking the fact that the real male and female relationships were shown, or just any relationships were shown, and it wasn't a princess kind of fairy tale ending like we see in so many of the works, but it was an actual kind of relationship, the hardship as well as the positive, and that reminded him of his father and mother, so he felt like he could relate to the work because it wasn't fake. Tons of work by Pina Bausch. There's also an excellent documentary called Pina, and I believe that's on, I think it's on Amazon Video if you want to go check that out. Again, I'd encourage you to watch a couple of her works. I'll link the YouTube links, hopefully. Okay, so next we have Trisha Brown. So Brown's movement style is logical, focusing on the mechanics of how the arm bends. That's just an example. She focuses on the general mechanics of the body, and that provides her choreography with majority of everyday gestures. So she doesn't include any drama, any narrative to her work. It's almost dance for dance sake. Her movement is also mathematical, using addition and multiplication as a principle of choreographing. Accumulation, one of the works, again, a snippet of that was in Dance Rebels, was built up as gradually extending a sequence of gestural units, and the dance literally just was accumulation, so just gradually builded more. So I would encourage you to have a watch of Dance Rebels because there's quite a chunk of this on Trisha Brown. So how the influence was passed on to Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui. So Brown used release technique. So at Parts, when Cherkaoui was studying at Parts, he took part in release lessons. He also took part in Trisha Brown lessons, almost looking at the skeleton, taking in her movement. Cherkaoui has said that she creates pure movement, finding new pathways of motion in the body. It's pure experimentation. That's where kind of the drama and interest comes. There's not kind of a fake story on top of that. Yeah, really incredible works. Part of the Judson Dance Church. So go and have a watch of some of the works and go and have a research more in depth. Okay, William Forsythe. So overall movement style is basically challenging ballet, developing ballet from what it was, and pushing it into kind of a contemporary atmosphere. Unlike ballet, he focuses is often internal, and he utilizes many short, sharp, sporadic movements. His movements is always extreme detail and precise, no matter if it is really, really fast. So just an example, so this solo, for example, where Forsythe is stationary for a long period of time, he uses several sharp arm gestures, and then when he does begin to move across the space, he leads with an arm by either pushing or pulling, and that was unique and interesting in itself. This Forsythe's overall style has clearly influenced Cherkaoui, because of that kind of intense, dynamic, quick, kind of overall style of dance, and we can see that from the juxtaposition of the sharp, intense, quick movements contrasted with the ability to kind of find stillness and fluidity. Again, I've just popped some of his works on there. Go and do your own research and go and have a watch of some of these. Okay, so pop culture in general. Remember, this is his life growing up. He was influenced by these kind of people: Bruce Lee, Michael Jackson, Prince. So I've just got a couple of just bits for you. So during his teenage years, Cherkaoui loved watching Bruce Lee films, fascinated by the kung fu movement in them. So hip hop was just beginning to influence mainland Europe, and inspired by the music videos he saw on television, Cherkaoui began imitating artists such as Janet Jackson and Prince. At 15, he became hooked on dance inspired by music videos, like I've just said. So Janet Jackson fame, Prince. His father was against him taking part in any dance activities, but when his parents divorced, he immersed himself in dance classes. Okay, here we have some questions in that orange colour, and then Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui's answers in white. So I encourage you to pause the video and read these answers from Cherkaoui himself. Okay, exact same thing. So we've got the questions in that dark yellow, and then Sidi, Larbi, Cherkaoui's answers in white. So again, pause the video and just have a read of these answers. Okay, next section, we're going to go through the social and cultural and historical influences. Again, I've taken all of this from one of the sutra guides. So this, I'm not going to read this information out, but all you need to do on each slide is just to pause it and just make the relevant notes. And even if you don't understand something, then going into further research, doing independent research on how these have influenced Cherkaoui. Okay, well done everybody. So we have something called the non-negotiables. So just making sure that all of this information is really clear in your mind of how each of these people or cultures have influenced Cherkaoui. So I'd encourage you to go back to the sutra guides and just make some further notes and do your own independent research into all 6 of these areas.